Hi everyone, and yes, we are ready to go because it's another journey. And today's journey is featuring a guest about 10 years ago who was doing a retail pharmacy consultation with a newly diagnosed type 2 diabetic for some test strips and a glucose meter, which most people know who are diabetic is readily available. But the suffering patient had no idea she was diabetic, and our guest certainly didn't feel it was their place to tell her, which is understandable because how can you break that sort of news when it's not your place? But our guest realised nobody educated in that how much her lifestyle will affect her disease. So in its search, he discovered something completely unexpected. The understanding that diabetes is not a death sentence or a progressive disease. He was dispensing medications to treat symptoms of a disease, but never taught the real root cause. I welcome Kyle to the journey.
Thank you. Thank you,
You,
David.
you're welcome. Now, let's just check we are working. Are we alive? Are you hearing me okay?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
That's good. That's the
Yeah.
main question. Interview over. No,
Ah,
seriously.
that was easy.
Yeah, no,
How'd I do?
very easy. Very easy. Right, so
Oh, that's fun.
obviously, journeys begin. Journeys
Yeah.
begin with a purpose.
Whew.
Journeys usually have a
I love
destination.
that. I love
Obviously,
that.
and obviously you're amused, you're educated, you're inspired, you're observed, you're understanding in your journey. When you was younger,
Yeah.
that is the key element. When you was younger, there was something that was in your life that kick-started your journey. What was that for you?
Oh, that's an easy one. Curiosity. I was a really curious ADHD, like total wiry kid, right? Just bouncing. And if there was somebody that had answers, I was all over it because when I grew up, the amount of knowledge that you had was based on what was the current edition of encyclopedias in your home. Okay. I'm old. Okay? Born in 68. So that's what it was dependent upon. And we had an old set of encyclopedias. I was like, oh, I'm so limited. But if I got around someone that had answers, people would say, like, does he ever shut up? When will he stop asking questions? Super curious. And it sucked because I felt like and I went on to do pharmacy school and did a residency at UCSF. And it's like your library card dictated the information that you had access to.
Hmm.
But things changed. Things changed when technology started improving and we had YouTube. So YouTube led me down this path that, okay, I want to get involved with these diabetic patients because I know that there's a problem here. There's no education between the doctor and the patient about their disease. This disease involves everything from your mental to your physical to what you're eating to how you're sick. It's everything. And it's not just diabetes. It's cardiovascular disease, it's Alzheimer's, it's hypertension, it's chronic disease. One out of five of our kids have a chronic disease diagnosis. This is ridiculous. This shouldn't be. We didn't have this 100 years ago,
No.
right? This is insane. But we're not looking back and going, what's different? I saw the problem with the education and said, I want to fill that void. And I remember I was doing these classes, right? Every diabetic gets an 8-hour class, right? It's diabetes self-management. It's kind of there designed to scare the crap out of you and force you and make sure that you're compliant with this regimen, this treatment that they have. Okay. And you can imagine how much I hate the treatment because I'm the unscripted pharmacist. I want people off the meds, right? So here's the thing. This is what kind of blows everything. Is when you start reading these guidelines. So I started reading the 2015 guidelines, and there's some very suspicious language in there. And one of I ran across was the amount of carbohydrates necessary to sustain your life is zero. Okay, well, that's zero. Like I don't have to eat a carbohydrate. I don't I don't have to tell patients that you got to eat carbohydrates to balance your energy for your brain.
Mm.
That's insane because it's based on a lie. And that is that you will make glucose. Your glucose level, your basically the carbohydrates in your bloodstream will not go down. It will stay at a very low level when you're not eating carbohydrates. So getting rid of the carbohydrates lowers your glucose level. And people lose weight. We're trying to manage glucose, right? And type 2
Mm.
diabetes. We're trying to manage glucose. We're trying to bring glucose down, right? Why not avoid the glucose in the first place? So seeing these really obvious things and going, okay, wait a minute. Type 2 diabetes is a condition of excess insulin. Why would we ever inject more? So I started looking at these guidelines a little bit more carefully and started looking at who was getting paid. You can imagine how much money I found on the panel that is determining the medication, the treatment for diabetics. $750,000 was spread amongst these, I don't know, 19, 20 different so-called experts telling you what you need to take. So if your A1C back in those days, now I think it's 10, but if your blood sugar was basically above 300 as an average, insulin. There's no discussion about a low carbohydrate diet. If you think about this on a very fundamental, common sense level, before we had insulin, what happened? We told patients in order for you to live as a type 1 diabetic, you must have no carbohydrates. It's hardcore or die. Then we invent insulin basically and start injecting it. We start injecting insulin, and now it doesn't matter. You can cover your carbs, give them eat pizza, cover your carbs, give yourself a dose. But what happens? We all get sick. We get
Mm.
fatter. The dose goes up. We develop insulin resistance. Our insulin levels go up. Why aren't we measuring insulin? It's a $10 test. I'll tell you right now, if Casey Means becomes the US Surgeon General, we will be measuring insulin. You can guarantee it. The ADA receives millions of dollars from the manufacturers of insulin.
Yeah.
There's a lot riding on that little secret. And your doctor, he's stuck in the middle. He doesn't really know. And that's what's the sad part. It's not his fault. We didn't talk about insulin. I learned more after I left pharmacy, doing YouTube dives. All there was to know, I tried to learn all there was to know about insulin and ketones. Jason Fung, he had these 8 hours worth of lectures, and it was all about him as a nephrologist in Toronto, Canada, reversing diabetes by having people fast. Wait a minute. According to your idea of we need carbohydrates as brain food, you should be dead in a
Mm.
day, right? There's just no way. Here, these people are thriving. They're in ketosis. They're not in ketoacidosis. They're in ketosis. These are type 2 diabetics. Too much insulin. You're bringing the insulin down, which allows you to burn fat. So I started really helping patients dial in their glucose and start managing their metabolism. But I had to walk the talk myself, right? You can't recommend something and then like be stuffing your face with donuts and cupcakes, right? Like, it's not going to work. And if you want a conviction about what you're doing, you better be walking the talk. So I started not just learning, but I was practicing. I started sticking myself, trying to see, because I would tell these patients, like, look, you need to just measure your glucose. You need to stick yourself with this little finger stick. You ever seen those?
Yeah.
Oh, they hurt. I can't stand. You got to have warm skin, right? And you're hitting your fingertips, which is the most nervy end of your hand, right? Awful place to get stuck. Stick yourself, and then that is only a snapshot of what your blood sugar is right then and there. Okay. And we thought that that was the lowest of the day. You start testing yourself in different times of the day and make yourself into a pincushion. You'll realize there's not a lot of consistency. Things don't make sense. You have to prick yourself a whole bunch of times around a food to see if it's really harmful. Okay. So the tools that we have back in the day was really archaic, and these are just photographs. You're trying to hit this moving target. Diabetes is really difficult to treat,
Mm.
right? If you overdose somebody on insulin, you can easily cause hypoglycemia and bring on a heart attack. Insulin is not the answer. Fixing somebody's insulin resistance and just bringing glucose down comes with some significant risks. You can really hurt somebody, right? As a pharmacist, I'm handing out insulin. This isn't going well for me. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. So I'm trying to convince people to go to my support group so I can talk to you about how we can lower your dose of insulin, how we can reverse your diabetes with data. And here's what's amazing is right around COVID, okay? We're all staying home, we're all doing this telemedicine, and the technology starts to change. And then we get this continuous glucose monitor, these CGMs. Here's
Mm.
one of them. Now you can see stuff. Now you can see the food. Okay, so my job as a diabetes educator just got real easy. Okay, because now you can see. I would watch people's blood sugar that I would get from this diabetes clinic. I just say, hey, let me just follow you. Let's just monitor you. I'll watch you. And I'm texting them. Did you see this? Did you see that? Hey, what'd you eat? Please scan. And starting getting involved in real time with them and watching them change. And in 3 months' time, no longer diabetic, off all their meds. Lost 20 pounds, 30 pounds in 3 months' time. That was the results that we were getting. It was amazing. Like, this really works. It happens to be the same things that Verta Health does. Verta Health is a company that did this study, I think it's 2015. They had coaches in San Francisco and patients in Indiana, and they were monitoring them in real time with the phone, educating them on what was going on and helping them make choices in real time. Sometimes it's very late. I mean, it's like paragraphs. Like it takes a lot of time at first until you can educate them. But I will tell you, my passion, my return on investment comes from the results that I get. These patients come back and say, I've never felt better. I'm finally sleeping through the night. My knee pain is better. I don't have as much knee pain. My back pain's improved. I'm able to exercise. I'm able to stay awake longer.
Mm.
I I feel like I'm more energized. I The benefits that you see is always kind of fun. It's like I'll talk to somebody and go, man, I wonder what we're gonna see. Now, how many inches do you think they're gonna lose in the waist, right? I've got several patients and dudes, 60 pounds, 80 pounds. Some of these people I would get during COVID. I can remember this lady. She's hilarious. She's very feisty, right? I get this call from the ER doctor. I'm the hospital pharmacist at this point, not in retail. And she's like, I got this. He's like, the ER doctor's like, I got this patient. She doesn't want to take any meds. She thinks diabetes is a scam. I'm like, okay, this sounds like one of my tribal members, and I can't wait to see her, right?
Mm.
So downstairs I go, and she's furious, right? I'm not taking anything. I won't take metformin. Like her A1C is definitely diabetic. I don't know what it was. Actually, it was quite high. Anyways, she was there with her mom and her husband. I can tell that she had the support, and her mom had just had a gastric bypass. Like, oh, okay. So it's almost like a head-to-head study here. Gastric bypass, and her mom was doing very well, and her mom is still doing very well. Anyways, I got a hold of her not that long ago. A1C is way down. She's hardly diabetic. I think her A1C has dropped by 2%, but she's lost like 60 pounds. Okay. She's not on any medication. You know what? I think her A1C was still under, and she still doesn't want to take any medications. Like, that is your choice, but you're informed. She used a CGM. She saw what her blood sugar was doing. She was able to lose that stubborn weight and started walking. Her and her mom walk all the time. Like, that's the success story. I hate to say it, I sound really arrogant, but I expect it. I expect people to go, you know what, my insomnia is better. This is better. Something is going to be noticeably better, and typically within a week. I've had people that were on insulin for a very long time and get off of it in a very short period of time, within a few days,
Mm.
not months. See, here's the thing. How do you know if you have the ability to make insulin? You never measure insulin.
No.
You can't manage what you're not measuring. Here's the thing. Insulin goes up 7 years before you actually develop diabetes. Why aren't we measuring that? Why aren't we measuring insulin in all these kids? Right? I had to look at my own data. I put the CGM on, and it's so much fun. Do your own experimentation. I so encourage. Ah, it's a riot because you eat something, and I say, like, when I say experiment, like, don't eat anything prior to this. Like, just try one food. Try those mashed potatoes, right? So you eat it and you watch the how quickly it gets absorbed. So it's kind of interesting that way. And then you watch your rise. And these rises in our glucose are not benign. These rises in our glucose can do a lot of damage. And that is how we avoid the metabolic dysfunction,
Mm.
right? But you gotta measure what you're trying to manage. You're trying to manage glucose. And the mountain, when you see the mountain that a potato costs, you'd be like, you know what? I'm not going to go on this roller coaster ride. I'm not going to elevate my glucose for the next 6 hours and feel like crap. Because on the backside of that high, it's oftentimes a low. And that low is awful. You feel like crap. I was on that roller coaster ride. Before I lost 50 pounds, I could I could put it away. I had no problem with sugar. Matter of fact, I definitely had a sweet tooth, but I was starting to become hypertensive. Hypertension is not salt,
No.
insulin. It's insulin resistance. We got to measure this stuff. And I know what Casey means. We will be measuring. And I think these belong in every single person's arm. Okay. You don't have to be diabetic. And I think that's another scam. Don't try to trick people. This is important for every person with a pulse. This should be on children. This is not a drug. It's just data. It's just information.
Mm. And you do get research programs that do encourage you to do things like I'm wearing a device now that was given to me by a research company. Now they stopped the service, but they said it's mine. But for 3, 4 weeks, I think they were monitoring it remotely through the app I had, so they were able to access my statistics and know what was what with me. I still wear it consciously now, because even though I don't have to, but because it's a watch. But the fact was, it was given to me for free by this company just to observe things on me.
It's so frustrating because people will stand behind a food and they've never measured.
Mm,
Do not tell me that oatmeal is healthy. Stop. See, what I want is people to know their own personal data. Everyone's going to have a different response. This is your own personal biology. I don't know what it's going to do to you today versus tomorrow versus here's another thing. How well rested are you? How stressed are you? Basically, what is your cortisol level? And we know that cortisol raises your glucose.
mm,
It makes it sick. It's actually really unhealthy for us. Excessive raising, an excessive chronically elevated cortisol. And how do we know that? We got we got more data. We use these smart rings. This is sensor data. I can look at your stress. Then I can show you how your stress at that moment raised your blood sugar. Now you have the intersection of lifestyle and metabolism. When you put basically this TGM along with the smart ring together, now there's not a whole lot of data I don't have.
mm,
Maybe a constant insulin sensor, maybe a constant ketone sensor. I don't know. But as we add more sensors to our list of data that we have, we can now make informed decisions. We can now understand our own metabolism and we can act based on our own personal results, not some expert. And they're conflicted. They are so conflicted. You think about this. Here's the USDA dietary guidelines coming up in 2025. There's a certain lady. Her name is Fatima Stanch, obesity doctor.
Mm.
She sits there and tells you that basically, if your parents are obese, then you'll be obese. 50% chance. Genetics. It's all genetic. You took almost $30,000 from the manufacturers of Ozempic and Wegovy the year before. You really are going to try to convince us that it's a calorie thing and it's a genetic problem? It's all deception. It's a hormonal thing. And you're not measuring insulin.
Mm.
That's the scam. That's what
Yeah.
your doctor won't measure, and that's what he doesn't know about. Because let's put it this way, insulin makes you fat. Lowering insulin makes you lose weight automatically.
So people will be asking, because obviously we try to keep it into the half an hour, but people be asking how can they get in contact with you for further information? Because
Oh,
obviously this is a way
okay.
for people to get in contact with you.
So I'm working on this project. When you bring the CGM, this this device, along with the smart ring, I now have a lot of data. And I'm creating a platform that can bring this together. So we'll have sell you a smart ring, a CGM, a scale, blood pressure monitor. You'll get a lot of data from
Mm.
that because when you lose weight, it's not just a number. That number, your weight loss could be related to lean body mass. It could be related to muscle loss. That's what those drugs do. More data would be helpful. How much lean mass, how much muscle did I lose? How much fat mass did I lose? Because that's what this is all about. Fat, we want to lose the fat and we want to gain the muscle, right?
Yeah.
That Ozempic, those GLP-1s do not do that. They don't help you. This is data. This is just knowledge. Because what I have found over the years is that the smartest patient is the one with the best outcome. So when you start learning your data by using this platform that we're creating, you can hack your own self. You can look at your data and act appropriately. We have an AI platform that brings that will make suggestions to help you fix your metabolism, right? So go to my website, unscriptedpharmacist.com. I have an email list that you can sign up for. I will let you know when I have this device. I'm hoping that it will be July, August when we finally get this first rollout. So I hope that it works. I've been going down this path of diabetes education for a long time, and I firmly believe that it makes a difference in people's lives
Mm.
to the point that I've been doing this for so long. I just do it for those results. When I get that phone call that says, "Hey, I've never felt better in my life," that's why I do this. I haven't taken a dollar from anybody. I quit my freaking pharmacist job. I'd rather do this and help people than being part of the problem. The solutions are right there, and it's just data. And I don't want to create diversity in healthcare. I want everybody to have access to this. Let's make this as inexpensive as possible, and let's fix this metabolic problem.
I agree on that. And I'd just like to say it's the unscriptedpharmacist.com, correct?
Yes, unscriptedpharmacist.com.
Okay. And I'll make sure that's in
I'm
the
on social
description.
media. I'm on LinkedIn. The other name would be under my personal name, Kyle Rutzart. You can find me on LinkedIn under that as well. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm active on those
Okay, and I'll make
channels.
sure the links are available in the description afterwards. But Kyle,
Thank you.
it's been a pleasure talking to you on the journey today. I hope you do get the results and hopefully the progress that is so desperately needed because it is a thing I think needs addressing.
Well, you think about it, like here in the US, it's 25% of our GDP is healthcare. But
Exactly.
what I'm talking about is pretty revolutionary. It's taking the food pyramid and flipping it upside down. I don't think the world's ready for that.
No.
I will tell you this. If you are eating USDA subsidized crops, We subsidize crops, right?
Mm.
Rice,
Yeah.
wheat, corn, sugar, soybean, and we're still subsidizing tobacco, by the way. It's disgusting. If you're eating those crops, which is in all of our food, all of our processed food is that nonsense, then you'll be sick. You're part of that misinformation campaign that makes you think that it's your fault, that you can't count calories, that you need to eat less and move more. That's a scam, that's a lie, and that's a setup for making you very frustrated as if you're some sort of failure. You're not a failure. This is easy to fix. It's just a little bit of information. Understand this simple concept. I'm the zero carb pharmacist. No carbs. You don't need any. And they may be hurting you. And the only way you'll know where those carbs are is become a carb detective and look at your glucose. Get a CGM. It is so helpful.
I agree on that.
I love experimenting with it. It's so much fun.
And
Get
that's
on the paddleboard. I see, like, what can you do? How can I walk this off?
a
Cool
good
stuff.
thing. But I'd just like to
Yeah,
say
it
thank you
is.
for sharing your journey with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, David. This has been fun.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Amy Harrison. I just published another book, and this is the first hard copy I've released. Let's claw right into a sneak peek. Hi, I'm my Galaxy Brat. Error. It is becoming clearer. Y'all probably think I'm annoying. Turns out they all just plain boring. I'm just being me, the realest version. Sweet on the inside, tell like it is on the outside. Yes, I embrace love, never hate. But honesty flies in my mouth like a dove. Be careful before it's too late. If you want to read more, visit the link in the description. Meow at you later.
Parsons. The narrator is Kate Barton. Director and producer, Darren Street. Tim Parsons would like to thank family and friends for their support with the paramedic Chris venture. The series is dedicated to the memory of his father, Reverend David Parsons. Copyright Tim Parsons 2020, all rights reserved. Unauthorized use, copying or sharing of this audiobook is strictly prohibited. This has been a Voice Reel studio production for Tim Parsons.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. I've just been listening to the Paramedic Chris children's books on audio again, and I just love it because they've given a tribute in one of them to my dad as well, who passed away a few years ago. I love audio books, and it's great to walk around, and it's great to sit at the computer, if you're out jogging or wherever, to listen to them as well. All 4 of the Paramedic Chris children's books are available on audio book from Amazon. Go and take a listen to them. You won't be disappointed. You'll hear what happens when a community pulls together and supports one another. The best thing is to pop over to my website, paramedicchriskidsbooks.org, and you'll see the links on the shop page. Keep safe, everyone, and thank you for being you.
The Journey podcast explores stories of personal growth, challenges, and life-changing moments. Each episode dives into unique experiences, offering insights and inspiration for listeners navigating their own paths. I believe everyone has a story worth sharing. If you'd like to share your journey with David and others, email your story to wisewords1983@reborn.com, and it may be featured in a future episode.